IAA Transportation, Hanover. What's new? Everyone that works for automotive industry would like to know what is the direction that motoring and transportation would follow in the nearest future. This year I had an opportunity to be in Hanover as an exhibitor with Best Growth. So here is what I've noticed during my walk around. During my walk through the IAA transportation halls, I think that the most informative and the most representative was what MAHLE had presented this year. I have spent on their booth nearly an hour, talking with one engineer and then with another. It was very informative and very nice time. I have to point out that MAHLE engineers approached my detailed questions with professional enjoyment, which encouraged me to ask more questions, of course. But first things first, what caught my attention when I was passing by? Please have a look at this thing. Do you know what that is? This is the fuel cell, powered by hydrogen, of course. This particular one is a really big one, prepared to power a truck. This was what made me to come around and have a closer look. Instantly, one of the MAHLE engineers came over, introduced himself, and we started our talk. I shared with him my fascination about the fuel cell, which I think is the only real innovation in mobility in our time, as electric vehicles have already been known for over 100 years. The fuel cell allows us to generate electricity without noisy, vibrating and smoking diesel generators. And all it happens in complete silence. Moreover, hydrogen seems to be the only reversible fuel that humanity knows so far. Because having a hydrogen, when we burn it, we get water vapor to be exact. But then from the water we can regain hydrogen again. MAHLE engineer agreed with my fascination and also pointed out that this year the tendency seems to be a bit different. As vehicle manufacturers present hydrogen-powered vehicles as one of the equal direction for the future mobility, for the future transportation, aside with electric vehicles powered by incredibly heavy and expensive batteries. By the way, several vehicle manufacturers that I had a chance to talk with pointed out that in European Union there is too many regulations that literally nearly stops the possible progress. So the progress goes not the best or the most efficient way anymore, but the only possible way instead. As such a situation is forced by European Union laws and regulations, vehicle manufacturers do not feel confident to follow this, the only one forced by EU direction, which is, as we know, electromobility. Besides, the feedback from the market is very negative about electromobility. However, media are trying their best to show the situation opposite way, to create the space, to create the market. But so far, this is not working well, as people got used to very handy fossil fuel driven vehicles, and electric vehicles are still not even close to that level of usefulness. This is why this year electromobility seems to be only one of the several options, but not the one anymore. This is why hydrogen as a fuel gains more and more attention, as hydrogen is very useful and efficient as an energy accumulator. The storage of the liquid hydrogen is still the challenge here, of course. But however the solutions are still expensive, it will become cheaper in the mass production for sure. Most important thing is that this challenge is not directly related to the efficiency of the power unit, as it is in the electric batteries case. Here you can see some calculations I made to compare the weight and the energy for the lithium batteries and gasoline. As you can see, the proportion is still 1:40. On this diagram also you can see how the electric vehicle range changes with the speed. These are very simple calcs that you can do by yourself based on the speed movement resistance diagram for an average vehicle. Basically, the batteries has to be such a big and heavy because it has to accumulate a final form of the energy that vehicle uses. The combustion engines as well as the fuel cells generates the final form of the energy on board. This is why straight comparing the efficiency of the electric power unit with the combustion power unit is a huge mistake, is pointless. To fairly compare an electric power unit with a combustion power unit, we would need to imagine an accumulating a combustion pressure in a pressure accumulator to be able to apply this pressure from this accumulator straight to the engine cylinders. Only having such a theoretical setup, we would be able to compare the weight, the efficiency and the range of both power units in a sensible way. But let's go back to the hydrogen for a while. So the vehicle manufacturers utilizes hydrogen in two ways. One is the fuel cell, which is the top level of the hydrogen technology. And what is the other way? The other way is burning the hydrogen in a classic piston combustion engines. For this, a special material for the liners, pistons and rings have to be developed. Here is such a set presented by MAHLE. And here we can see the truck powered by a classic combustion engine that burns hydrogen. But as a matter of fact, not only the piston engine are being used to burn hydrogen. Here is a rotary combustion engine, perhaps a Wankel type, that is used in a hybrid unit to drive a light vehicle, a light truck. Some of the manufacturers adopts their vehicles to be powered by LBG, liquid biogas, and CBG, compressed biogas. Utilizing piston engines seems to be an intermediate step to the future, but also a very important step to be taken during the transformation decades that are necessary to switch the mobility from fossil fuels to a different energy source. During that period, but not only then, a coexisting of the various type of power units seems to be very sensible. Imagine scrapping all vehicles powered by the combustion engines. It would be a real disaster for the transportation, for the economy and also for the environment. Seeing this, a few years back Audi have presented a solution. They have presented a ready technology to generate an alternative gasoline out of CO2 and hydrogen to make possible running current gasoline engine with minimized environmental impact. Bottom line, after 110 years, electric power units seems to fail again and again for the same reason. Because electric power units has to carry on board a final form of the energy and the entire energy that vehicle uses. Combustion power units as well as fuel cells, they are able to generate the final form of energy that vehicle uses on board. So this one more link in the energy transformation that combustion power units are able to do makes the entire difference.